Hello, everyone, and welcome to this radcast of the Social Club at the End of the World. Happy to be joined by Adam Soul here in the state of Washington. I'm also in the state of Washington, and everyone is welcome to join these Hangouts. I post the link on my Facebook page, on my Google Plus page, and so anyway, anyone can feel free to join just by clicking the link. I'm going to read through start off by reading through the agenda for today, and then I'm going to read from a paper that Adam is working on that he sent me a draft of. But the agenda for today is solving the world's most daunting problems. Mother Earth and all its inhabitants and life-supporting systems are being slammed by a whole suite of interrelated wicked problems, including but not limited to abrupt climate change overheating our planet, destruction of the planetary biosphere, poisoning and acidification of the world's oceans, melting of Arctic sea ice, overpopulation of humans and ecosystem destroying livestock, and our entire set of living arrangements and what I call the possession trance, leading humans to hoard and plunder the Earth's resources at gargantuan and unsustainable costs to Mother Earth. Now, the next section is proposed meta solution, and I define that in a moment. But first, a quote from Winston Churchill: "Give us the tools, and we will finish the job." So the meta solution is really a set of tools. The definition of meta solution is a set of tools, platforms, and other resources needed to support humans in our quest to generate all of the specific solutions needed to solve and/or acceptably mitigate the above discussed wicked problems. The specific solutions needed to solve the above listed world problems include the following classes of solutions, with multiple specific solutions required for each class. So one class of solutions is geoengineering solutions to artificially cool our planet. For example, planetary scale reflectors to deflect a percentage, even a small percentage, of the incoming radiation from the sun back out into space rather than heating our planet. Solutions to refreeze the Arctic sea ice, build back that natural mirror and bank account of ice that is so vital to our survival. Holistic land, water, and ocean management. Solutions in the realm of human living arrangements. Solutions which enable and empower humanity to live in a way which not only stops the harm to life on Earth, but actually heals life, ecosystems, and life-supporting systems on our planet. For example, arcologies, and we'll talk later about what I call the utopian cellular arcology model. Another set of solutions are cultural solutions, solutions which transform human culture. For example, inspiring and enabling humanity to adopt the above living arrangement solutions that we just talked about. Another class is political solutions, spanning political party and platform formation, speeches, slogans, and roadmaps for the transformation of all scale of politics, from local town hall politics all the way to planetary governance. These political solutions would be both an outgrowth of the above mentioned cultural solutions, as well as a support platform for cultural transformation and the transformation of human living arrangements. Finally, energy solutions, since energy production and consumption to support human living arrangements, both existing living arrangements and the new ones that we have yet to create, there's such a huge factor. That's a whole class unto itself. So in order to generate all these specific solutions, we need what I refer to as powerful solution generating machinery. And that's what I encapsulate under the label, the meta solution. So, and feel free to jump in anytime, Adam. Proposed components of the meta solution. So there are three platforms that my organization Radish is working on as components of the grand meta solution. One of those platforms is, of course, is Radish itself, which we use very much as we're doing right now with recorded video conferences, which are transcribed and then mapped to organized taxonomies of topics, so people can find which groups are talking about those topics which are of most interest to them. It's a kind of a way for people to find each other and engage in conversation, which then leads to the development, adaptation of various solutions, followed by the modeling of those solutions so that we can figure out the optimum set of solutions, and finally implementation. A second platform that we're developing is BotHub. It will be on bothub.com, and that's all about the open source co-creation of all the robots we will need, both pure software bots as well as software plus hardware robots, to help people on Radish and elsewhere to co-create the solutions that we need and help implement those solutions. And then a third platform is called Like Documents, which is all about helping people and bots find all of the resources, the documented resources, the web pages, the books, the articles, all forms of documents, from technical papers to patents, summaries, etc., for both analyzing problems and options for solution, and ultimately co-creating all of the solutions that we need. So that's
something about BotHub.
Yeah, BotHub. BotHub. Yeah.
So you're using robots, and that's a form of artificial intelligence, right?
Well, the pure software bots will make extensive use of artificial intelligence. So, for example, let's say you and I are having a conversation online about, how to refreeze the Arctic, and we're exploring different ways to do that. We might have, several bots hovering around, participating in the conversation, listening in, transcribing what we're saying, and then mapping that through the kind of search algorithms that we're going to have on the Like Documents platform to find, like documents or similar documents to what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So this conversation, the transcript of the conversation that we're having on refreezing the Arctic, ultimately will be in the form of
somebody's looking at my door.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I'll have to take a break here. Just one second.
All right. And while Adam's taking a break, I just want to let everyone know everyone is invited to join this conversation by clicking on the link, which I have posted on my Facebook page and also my Google Plus page. Love to have, and to participate, you can just simply jump in, be part of the Hangout. You don't have to talk. You'll never be put on the spot. We have a very compassionate culture here on the Social Club at the End of the World. And so, if you have questions or comments, you can feel free to speak those out and just be a part of the conversation. Because if we're going to the extent that we're going to solve our problems, we first need to come together and organize ourselves and have conversations. So that's kind of the beginning. So welcome back, Adam. And
so can I finish my question about the bots?
Yeah. Please. Yeah.
So these bots are going to be around the room, and they're going to be, listening to these conversations and contributing. And they're also, these bots, I assume, are be able to tie it into the internet.
Absolutely.
And also they'll be tied into modeling programs. So if you're in a collective intelligence has the way I see it, and maybe I'm wrong, but I see it as like there would be a think tank set up, and it would be on a specific prospect, like refreezing the Arctic. And so then it would have robots around, and those robots would be dialed into the internet and to modeling programs. And then while the experts are sitting around talking, these robots can take this information and start filling in the variables in the models. And then they can gather information off the internet, and they can use those, and then they can try out. And it sounds like a way where you could instantaneously develop models and change them, and you could almost have instantaneous results. So you say, well, what if we tweak it here? And what if we tweak it there? So, what do we do this over here? Then what happens, and our models are pretty sophisticated too. So I mean, they could dial in even down to, a lot of the species that are out there that we would be affecting. So that's very interesting.
Yeah. No, good points, Adam. The modeling is a key part. My basic paradigm there is our capabilities for modeling are constantly improving, and we're getting better and better at having a computer representation of Mother Earth and all the different ecosystems and life supporting systems. And as we put more of our creativity and effort into improving these models, we'll have a better and better crystal ball that will help us play with what if scenarios. What if we did this? What would the impacts be? And then if on top of that model, we build an optimization layer, which can use artificial intelligence to do the tweaking rather than human operators doing the tweaking, it can go much, much faster. And we can zero in on that optimal set of solutions that we need to save life on Earth. So, and then of course, at the conversational level, where people get together and have these conversations like we're having now, the bots can be listening in, transcribing everything we're saying, and then doing the kind of, what I call whole document search capabilities, where your input to the search is not just a couple few keywords, but an entire document, an entire transcript of a conversation, for example, that basically says, okay, find me all the, the papers, the documents, the other conversations, whatever kind of content most closely maps to what we're talking about, right? So, and if there's like some really great white paper that none of us knew about, and suddenly this bot is saying, hey, check this out, particularly these paragraphs that I'm highlighting.
Yeah.
And we give those a read. We or the bots might invite the author of that paper to come join us and say, hey, we've just been reading up on what you've been writing. We've been talking about the same kind of thing. I guess our paths had crossed. We didn't know about each other. So glad to meet you. Let's talk. And so through mechanisms such as that, we can have this convergence of like-minded people and people who are passionate about solving the same kinds of problems.
I love it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I love it. And I mean, collective intelligence blends right in with the Road to Life that I've been writing, and because the Road to Life plan relies heavily on collective intelligence. It may be a slightly different version of collective intelligence, and I've written it in this new paper I've written. I wrote a lot about collective intelligence, and so you'll see my perspective when you read it, and we'll see, and hopefully you'll be able to put your perspective in there too.
Yeah, and speaking of your paper, why don't we read that now? That would be kind of an example of what we were just talking about. We're having a conversation. The bots go out and find this great paper written by Adam Soul. They pull it in. And we're like, hey, let's take a few minutes and give that a read.
Well, let me just introduce it really quick.
Please.
Don't mind. So this paper, I've called it To the Point, A Case for Hope. And the to the point part means that it describes basically what the Road to Life plan is and what collective intelligence is. And it also gives reasons for hope. And it also adds to it, and it tells me how we can physically get out of this mess that we've created, and kind of generally how we can get out of it. But it's not totally done yet. It's not ready to publish. So this is a preliminary discussion and reading. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, great. Well, with your permission, I will read it publicly.
Good.
Okay, here it goes. All right.
I'll go on mute.
To the point. Okay, sure, but please jump in any time.
Okay.
To the Point, A Case for Hope by Adam Soul. And then there's links to the YouTube videos and PDF at the top. This paper briefly explains the Road to Life plan and then shows a list of positive reasons for why mankind should have hope for the future. It then explains what collective intelligence is and ends with an addition to the Road to Life plan that describes how we physically get out of this mess of the which encourages people to ignore the science and live in denial. The parallel between these dichotomies is that neither of them give mankind a chance to save ourselves. Both ways essentially tell us to not even bother to try. Does this apparent directive mean we shouldn't at least look? What if in the final moment of our lives, we are holding our child's hand and telling him or her that there's nothing to worry about? We learn that there was a way out, but that we didn't see that way out because we didn't look. The Road to Life plan shows mankind a way out. It shows how to heal our Mother Earth and ourselves so that we can continue living upon her. It is stemmed from the wisdom of our hunter-gatherer ancestors who tell us that we have been fouling our own nest because we are sick. The Road to Life plan reveals how we became sick, what we are sickened by, and what the world will look like after we are healed. The Road to Life plan relies heavily on collective intelligence to fill in the details. And the Road to Life plan tells us how much it will cost. In order to follow the Road to Life plan, it must first be understood. The overall concept is not difficult to understand, but it initially appears contrary to our current modality of thinking, so we dismiss it without serious consideration. We stroll to the gate while we are thinking of other things, and we stop, because a quick glance tells us that the gate is locked, but the gate is not locked. We did not really look at it. Once we understand that through it, then we will see the road to life. A case for hope. The following is a list of positive aspects and tools that we either currently have or potentially can have to help us overcome abrupt climate change and set us on the road to life. So these are a list of what is it, 31 positives. So let me just read through them. One, we have the genius of human imagination. And here's a quote from John F. Kennedy. No problem of human destiny is beyond human beings. Man's reason and spirit have often solved the seemingly unsolvable, and we believe they can do it again. He said that in 1963. We have strong nets and ropes and ships that can be used to corral ice and block ice flows. We can install, that's a really good point actually. We can install advanced systems with programmable controls and sensors for monitoring, maintenance, and control. We have the internet and soon the Internet of Things connectivity. Smartphones and apps. Geometrically growing information technologies.
Jamin,
Yes, sir.
you see the star next to some of those?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that star, if you go down to the bottom, means that that's technology that we've never had before. So
Gotcha.
one of my points is that today we have knowledge that mankind's never had before.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to point it out in this list. And so I put an asterisk next to each one.
Right. And most of the things on the list, at least the first dozen or so, are new things that we didn't have prior to this generation. So collective intelligence and interfacing platforms, artificial intelligence, autonomous vehicles, robotics, and virtual reality manipulators, extremely good computer modeling and simulation abilities. We have an array of satellite assets with varying capabilities. We have three-dimensional graphical information systems, GIS. We have the ability for the human race to reduce our meat consumption by at least 90%, which would represent the largest reduction in man's footprint on Earth than any other thing we can do. And a quote from Albert Einstein: "Nothing will benefit health and increase the chances for survival of life on Earth as the evolution to a vegetarian diet." 14, we have the potential capability with HARP technologies that are already in place all over the world to take control over our planet and force the climate systems back into line. We have a vast amount of potential with modern heat transfer science and geothermal power technology combined. We have the potential for unlimited free and clean sources of energy. And then a quote from Nikola Tesla: "Electric power is everywhere, present in unlimited quantities, and can drive the world's machinery without the need of coal, oil, gas, or any other fuels. We can remove the nuclear threat to mankind. Collective intelligence can help us determine how. We have the ability to live in peace without war all over the world. We have extensive knowledge of geoengineering to affect carbon capture, albedo cloud brightening, storm alteration / steering, cloud seeding, ionospheric heat manipulation, ocean algae bloom creation, volcanic eruptions, solar shielding from space, and a number of other geosolutions. The consequences of geoengineering are not yet well known enough to immediately begin deploying them with wisdom. But when we do, the potential of them is very powerful. These techniques must be thoroughly evaluated by collective intelligence in order for us to make the best decisions that mankind can possibly make. We have the physical capability to refreeze the Arctic via mechanical means, for example, seawater pumps. We have the potential of other advanced, here, I'm just going to let my uncle know. I'll call him. Hey, Uncle Frank. Hey, I'm on a video conference right now. I'm gonna let you listen in if you'd like to. But anyway, I'm gonna keep reading. It's really interesting. Feel free to listen in, okay? And then I'll. Okay, or I'll call you back a bit later. Okay, thanks, Uncle Frank. Bye. We have the potential of other advanced secret military technology. We have technologies that have been suppressed by deeply embedded institutions. There is the potential for alien technology. We have the ability to reduce carbon emissions by at least 60%, almost overnight. There is substantial evidence that reversible permanent sterilization for women will soon be medically achievable. We can reduce the population of mankind by 50% in one generation. We have the technology to do vertical indoor gardening. We can teach people all over the world via the internet.
I have to chime in here.
Okay, Melissa's going to chime in.
It is much easier to sterilize men than women. So let's start there. Please change that. Thank you, Adam.
I think I'll just put on a condom in the meantime. But anyway, back to the paper. We can teach people all over the world via the internet. As a collective effort, we can conserve, consolidate, and standardize to dramatically reduce mankind's combined footprint on Earth practically overnight. We have the potential to use DNA to bring back the mastodon. We have the drive to save life for our children. So I'm just going to pause there before reading on, so we can have some back and forth on this. Really good stuff, Adam. It's really amazing. We have so many tools, and this gets back to the meta solution, which is all about tools and platforms. We have the tools and platforms and the ability to generate new tools and platforms to enable us to come together and both co-create solutions and apply solutions, such as the myriad technologies that you've listed in your paper here, to solve our problems. So, it's a bit baffling to me that the vast majority of humanity seems to be just on this treadmill of business as usual, servicing our various addictions, including our addiction to money, our addiction to hoarding, the possession trance that we're in, that we can possess, and B, therefore we must possess. I must possess before, others possess instead of me, right? And so we've just got this, these I call them addictions because I learned from you that money is an addiction. So anyway, love to hear your thoughts, Adam, since you're the author of this great paper.
Well, we have these dichotomies of the ways we think, and they're telling us that there's no way out. Well, and then we just read a list of 31 items, and the list is longer than this. This is just what I could think of, and there's a lot of good reasons why we should have hope. We just need to get things out of the way so that we can get the job done. And there are things in the way, and we're going to have we need to develop a whole different system, and we need a plan to do that. In order to adopt these positives, we need a plan. I mean, we can't rely on our government or the money system to adopt these things. They're not going to do it. They haven't even done it yet. I mean, they spent all this money to go into Iraq. That before 10 years was out, after we went into Iraq, we'd already spent over $3 trillion in Iraq. And to mechanically refreeze the Arctic, the estimates are like $3.2 million to put 100 million.
Wait, not 3.2 million, but 3.2 trillion?
Trillion, I mean, trillion, yeah. I'm sorry, did I say billion?
You said million.
Oh, no, I meant trillion. But I think we had like 8 years or something like that or maybe 6 years into Iraq and the Iraqi war, and we had already spent 3.2 trillion or over $3 trillion. And and they're telling us it would cost like $3.2 trillion to mechanically refreeze the Arctic. So obviously money's not going to do it. I don't know why. I don't know why nobody's going up there and doing it. It doesn't make any sense to me, unless they have another plan.
Well, so, I think here's the thing, Adam, is when I hear words like, and this is no criticism, it's just for me. I'm just telling you how it lands for me. Is when I hear words like, well, why aren't people doing this? Do they have a better plan? I don't think people have any plan at all as a whole. And I think that's really what's missing is we have the potential to be a super organism, like an ant colony or a bee colony, right? Or, if you remember the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind that came out back in the late 70s, you see all these aliens, they're obviously operating as a united whole, as a super organism, right? They're just so in sync with each other. So I think humanity, what we urgently need more than anything else is to snap out of this trance that we're all separate, right? And what's mine is mine, what's yours is yours, and let's not really talk to each other unless it's in these prescribed ways that our culture prescribes, like we can get together and watch a football game and drink beer, or get together and criticize Donald Trump. But heaven forbid we should actually get together and figure out how we're going to save our lives or save life on Earth. That is the elephant in the room opportunity that's staring us in the face, that is just beckoning for us to come together using tools and platforms like this, free video conferencing, right? Through Google+.
Well, we have all this list of positives.
Yeah.
So how do we make them happen?
Right.
Well, we need a plan. We need a plan for mankind to follow, because otherwise we're just all going in different directions. And a plan will help us put all these things together and tell us how to do it. And that's what the Road to Life plan is.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a different plan. I mean, it's a different way of life. So, you know, like I said, the tendency is for people to just shut down when they first even hear of it, because the premise of it causes people to just turn their eyes away automatically. It's like it's built into us. Because I do that, and you know, money is I tell how money is a poison. It's not just an addictive poison. It's a poison. And you said, you know, we have to snap out of this. Well, that's like telling a drug addict he has to snap out of it. I mean, you snap out of it by ending your use of it. And then soon after that, your eyes clear, your mind clears. And then you can do something right.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, what we're doing through these conversations and through your writings and through all the work that I do is, you know, so much of it constitutes an invitation for people to begin to snap out of it. For me, the access to snapping out of it is having conversations, public conversations,
Right.
that the rest of the world has access to, that says, hey, you know, let's come together and figure this out together. And let's do it publicly so that the rest of the world can see that there is a community forming to do
Yes.
something about this, right?
Yes.
And one thing I love about us, Adam, is you and I are not giving up, right? Right now, we're the only 2 people on the social club at the end of the world. We've had up to 10 people at a time. There's only 2 of us right now. We're not giving up. You know, there's 5 people watching. My goodness. There's bigger waves here crashing than I've actually ever seen. My goodness. Climate change is right in front of us. It's happening right before our eyes. And, you know, we've got one of the biggest wildfires, if not the biggest in California history, or for that region of Northern California. People are dying in Japan from overheating. It's like, you know, what's it going to take in terms of these catastrophes, these growing catastrophes, for humanity to finally say, you know what? I think it's about time we came together and worked on saving life before it's all wiped out.
Yeah, what's that quote that you told me a couple weeks ago by about it ending all at once? It was by
oh yeah, Hemingway.
Hemingway.
He went broke slowly, and then all at once.
Yes.
And I may have misquoted that, but
yeah, and I had that written in my paper, but I changed the paper so many times, and I got that out of there. But so yeah, so you know I'm glad it's coming on slowly, because these people, like in Japan, and the floods that are going on and the droughts that are going on, these people are waking up, and they're waking up to a society that's telling them, well, there's no way out, there's no hope. Well, there is hope, and I've just listed a whole bunch of reasons why we could do it, how we could succeed, but we automatically dismiss this because we think there's no hope. You know, we're like the elephant that's tied to a stake, and you know, the trainer ties the elephant to a stake that the elephant can't move, and trains him with that. As soon as he's trained, then from then on, he doesn't even have to hardly stick the stake in the ground, and the elephant won't try to pull it out. And that's the way we are.
Yeah, totally. It's like, yeah, we're trained, you know, to basically do what we're doing, which is this game of hoarding, of accumulation, playing this game of separation and comparison and ego, as these intensely social creatures on just this really destructive tack, which is, you know, our current set of living arrangements of just hoarding and accumulation and playing the real estate game and playing the stock market game and all that, which ultimately drives more and more consumption and destruction of planet Earth. And, you know, when when we stop and think about it from that macro perspective, well, it's suicide on a planetary scale, not just for our species, but virtually all species. And but as such a social creature, social species that we are, it's, you know, monkey see, monkey do is an oversimplification. But you know, that's the essence of it. We're following the patterns laid out by our parents, our grandparents, our neighbors, our classmates. And it's like, well, if everyone's doing this dance called, you know, got to get more, got to accumulate more, got to be more, got to learn more, got to do more, got to see more, you know, more. It's, you know, we're gobbling up our habitat. It's as simple as that. And, you know, I don't know how, I mean, how are we going to snap out of this trance other than talking about it, forming meetings, both in person, like the Sierra Club dinners that we organize, you know, on a monthly basis down in California, these video conferences that we do. I go out in public and do public performances in my Darth Vader costume. You know, what's it going to take to wake people up? You know, I'm really kind of baffled. How much worse do things need to get? Back to you, Adam. I'm going to go on mute.
Well, I think that what it's going to take is, well, it's already happening. I mean, we have these catastrophes all over the world. And as these catastrophes happen, people are waking up where the catastrophes are happening. And, but it's like you said, you know, that he went broke slowly and then all at once. That's, you know, it's going to hit all at once, pretty, you know, probably pretty soon. And, but we want to take advantage of all these smaller hits before then, when people are starting to wake up. Because if we wait until it happens all at once, then all bets are off the table, and who knows, you know, I don't know if we'll be able to do anything. But if we take advantage of these smaller hits and the opening up of people's minds, and the way we take advantage of them, I think, is we have to have a plan for them to look at. Because right now they're just joining on the same bandwagon that is offered to us now, and that bandwagon says there's no way out. So nobody's even trying. We're not even looking at it, and so nobody even conceives of a actual plan for the way out. And the reason I came up with the plan, and the way I came up with it, is by imagining the world without money. And why shouldn't we imagine the world without money? I mean, when this collapse happens, I mean, when it happens all at once, you know, you'll be coming home from work, and the wife will call you, you know, oh, honey, stop at the store. And you stop at the store, and you see that the parking lot's empty, and the windows are broken, and rioters are running out of the store, and you know, and then you look over and the bank's closed, and all of a sudden you realize, you know, that everything's gone crazy, and the banks will be closed, so there won't be any money anyway. So may as well start thinking about that. And when I started thinking about that, then all these.
You froze up, Adam. Just as you started thinking about it, you froze up. But anyway, hopefully you'll be back. Michael, good to see you. Welcome to the Social Club at the End of the World. And now looks like Adam's back. You were frozen there for a second, buddy. Anyway, Adam, you're on mute. You were kind of mid-sentence there. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I'll just, I think I said pretty much all I wanted to say. That I don't know where I went off there. My net connection drops off sometimes. But yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. Yeah. Why don't I continue reading from your draft paper on the section of collective intelligence? And gentlemen, Adam, Michael, anyone else who joins, feel free to jump in at any time. So
let me say something real quick.
Please, please.
This collective intelligence has to do with, is my interpretation of how collective intelligence, I see collective intelligence working with the life plan. And you may not agree, you haven't read this yet. So this is preliminary. And so just let everybody know that first.
Oh, yeah, very good. Very good. Okay, so Adam's draft on collective intelligence. What is collective intelligence? We have a tool that we can use to tell us how to apply the other tools. This tool is called collective intelligence. Collective intelligence is basically a website where scientists and experts from all parts of the world gather together in group video conferences that are recorded, cataloged, and optimized with the most recent computerization technologies. These optimizations mean, for example, that a Chinese doctor can speak with a Dutch doctor because the words they are saying will be subtitled on their screens in their own languages. This is current technology, but soon to come will be instantaneous verbal language translation. The computer optimization will have other data sets of information readily available as well. And this is Jamin inserting parenthetically, for example, the bots, the software bots, to help connect relevant content to those conversations, with suggestions produced through specially designed algorithms. Additionally, anyone in the world that wants to add or say anything and have it considered with regards to a particular subject of collective intelligence will have the ability to submit what they want to say to the collective intelligence system. Their input will then be analyzed and categorized and weighted and brought to the attention of the collective intelligence think tank in the order of its relevance. It's not like 10 people can read 10 million inputs, but if the optimization can weigh the input for relevance and its relevance was high, in other words, if it was something that was relevant and plausible yet hadn't been recorded, then it would be brought to the attention of the team in question, and the originator would get the credit. Likewise, if many people say the same thing, then that would be presented as an item on the table of decision or design or whatever the collective intelligence issue is. So collective intelligence is a place of conference, council, representation, and think tank. It is the place where the Congress of all mankind meets and serious logical decisions are made. It is a place free from money. No issues of money will influence the directions of the collective intelligence. In the Road to Life plan, collective intelligence does not get paid. It is there, like everything else, for the benefit of mankind and all life as we know it in the universe. It is there to help us make the best decisions we possibly can. Some of those decisions may mean life or death to mankind. Collective intelligence will produce the best choice that mankind can possibly make. That is what collective intelligence is designed to do. I'll also refer to it as CI instead of collective intelligence. There is another extremely important reason for CI. It goes back to the wisdom of the 7-generation rule that says we must make our decisions based on at least 7 generations into the future. What this rule really means is that we must think of the potential consequences of our decisions will have on the distant future, not just the immediate future or the immediate gratification future of a few people. For example, the last century, we gained the knowledge to make nuclear weapons. Now we have tens of thousands of nuclear weapons and thousands of missiles aimed at us, and because we used this knowledge. If CI had digested the decision to use our nuclear knowledge in a think tank full of experts from all the walks of life, not just the military and military-industrial complex salespeople and their politicians, we would not have used these weapons pointed at us today. Wisdom seeks knowledge, but knowledge does not always seek wisdom. Today, we have major developments in science that are disturbing and sometimes more dangerous than anything we've seen before. And we are implementing these developments without the wisdom of the 7-generation rule. We don't have CI running think tanks on any of these new discoveries. The think tanks are in the corporations that sell these technologies, not in the labs that create them. And the corporate think tanks are filled by employees who work for money and are trained to produce for money. If any one of them goes against the making of money, they will be cast out. Should the security of our lives then be based upon corporate decisions that are foregone conclusions? The disposition around the technology of artificial intelligence, for example, is filled with fear that computers will one day be smarter than human beings and can then turn on mankind and take us over. AI learns tens of thousands of times faster than Homo sapiens. And the knowledge for AI is already very close now with robotics, voice and face recognition, even skin and body emulation. Practically all that AI needs now for completion are the manual dexterity controls, and soon thereafter we will have artificial humanoids. And these humanoids will be connected to the World Wide Web and will be millions of times smarter than any one of us. We are already getting strong warnings from experts that know about this potential. Elon Musk says that we should be more afraid of AI than nuclear war. So are we sure we want AI to happen? Even though it looks so good and can make so much money, should we rely on a corporation's think tank to make this monumental decision? Or should we rely on a government that is controlled by the corporations to make the decision? Or should we have the knowledge thoroughly evaluated by an unbiased think tank filled with people from all walks of life, as with collective intelligence? I'm going to pause right there because these questions are so powerful and so crucial that we address. So I'll invite you gentlemen to jump in. But my first point is that CI, or collective intelligence, as we are conceiving of it, incorporates AI and group human intelligence, group genius from humans, to create something vastly more powerful than either AI itself or human intelligence on its own. I use the brick and mortar analogy. We're going to build a much taller building using both bricks and mortar than we could do either just with bricks alone or just with mortar alone. And so it's this mashup, this combination of human intelligence and artificial intelligence, which creates what Michael and I have coined as radish collective intelligence, a form of radical collective intelligence, a term we also coined, which I believe will be vastly more powerful and creative than just artificial intelligence alone. But far from being something to be feared, I see it as perhaps our last great hope. I'm going to go on mute, and I'll be right back in about 1 minute. But you gentlemen, feel free to carry on, and I'll be listening in. I'll be right back.
Hey, Michael, how you doing?
Hey, good stuff. We have we're starting a blog on Radish, and so that'd be a good place to post it among whatever you had in mind. What other places? Yeah, and I've started writing some things for that blog, but actually, what you've written, I think, is a much better overview for it. So, if you don't mind, we may post that on the site.
Yeah, I was talking to Jamin about that, and sure, that'd be great. I'm not quite ready yet. Almost. Hopefully, here in a couple days, I'll have this ready.
Anytime.
And, yeah. I think that's a great idea. And I want collective intelligence to work. I really do, and because I think it's extremely necessary. I see it as the major governing body of the world when we change. So I do have a question about collective intelligence. I see Jamin's back, so about using artificial intelligence. So there is a lot of controversy about artificial intelligence. And because these bots will be way smarter than humans, and so they have the ability to potentially, become so smart that they decide just to go their own way, and So we have to figure out how to prevent that from happening. We don't want to just start making the robots and selling them, as we already have to a degree, which is explained in the next paragraph, I think. But here's my question for the artificial intelligence team that's looking at the models and looking at artificial intelligence and asking the question, how are they going to control artificial intelligence so that it doesn't take over? And my question is, what if mankind didn't use money? What if we had a different system that we lived in that was, was based on wholly different, not trade or anything, no money, just equally giving and like that. And so if we remove money from the scheme of things and compare that scenario to artificial intelligence, then how much easier would it be to control artificial intelligence if money wasn't in existence? I mean, because all the questions today, I mean, the movie Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise, he asked the question, what's the answer to 99 out of 100 questions? And he says the answer is money. And I think that's true. So it's the same thing for artificial intelligence. Of course, computers don't care about money. So they would use money to leverage against us or something. And, that would always be the case somehow. Anyway, I'll go on mute.
Well, again, back to my point about collective intelligence being vastly more intelligent than whatever the latest form of artificial intelligence is, precisely because we leverage artificial intelligence combined with group human intelligence or group genius at the human level to create something way more powerful. And so we can use this vastly higher form of intelligence, of collective intelligence, to both guide the evolution of artificial intelligence, as well as come up with, countermeasures for anything dangerous or sinister that AI might come up with on its own. I mean, if you think of it as a game of chess, if you've got, the best AI on one side of the chessboard and collective intelligence on the other side, collective intelligence is going to win. I don't care what kind of moves AI seeks to put on us. And that's yet another reason for the imperative of developing collective intelligence as a transparent, planetary, superorganism intelligence of humanity as a whole coming together and co-creating all the solutions that we need, including solutions for managing artificial intelligence, right? It's the ultimate Kasparov, the ultimate deep blue, right? The ultimate intelligence.
I would rather collective intelligence analyze and come up with the ways of controlling all artificial intelligence than corporate think tanks, or even the government think tanks. Who all, that'd be much better for an unbiased organization like collective intelligence to do it.
I was just about to say that if maybe the answer isn't so much, human intelligence controlling the artificial intelligence, maybe that's, futile, who knows? But maybe collective intelligence, being an integration of the two is what is able to, that's the brain.
Exactly. That's the big brain that we so urgently need to solve our problems here on planet Earth, save life on Earth, but also address and mitigate and control these other risk factors, which, as I said, are operating at a lower level of intelligence. Even cutting-edge AI will be orders of magnitude dumber than cutting-edge CI, or collective intelligence. And it'll be the smartest intelligence that will prevail, that which is most capable of adapting ourselves and our environment for whatever means we seek. And that's why it's so imperative that we get together now and co-create the foundation of this collective intelligence. While we still have civilization, while we still have manufacturing and transportation at large scales, which enable us to avail ourselves of those tools that we need to pursue this benevolent pathway, this road to life plan. Alrighty, well, let me then continue reading from your good paper, Adam, even though it's just a draft. I appreciate your making it available. The world could already be infected by AI, and we might not even know it. AI is already in our cell phones. It's in the speech recognition and memory searches and other systems that learn. Do we have a plan for how to handle this power if and when it gets out of hand? Do we have any defense planned? Do we have a consensus of the people to employ this technology? If we don't, then it is wise to proceed. Then is it wise to proceed now? How far can we push knowledge without wisdom? And, again, what we've just talked about in the last few minutes answers most of those questions. And CI is knowledge and wisdom put together. The Road to Life plan unfolds a different way of life where important issues like AI and geoengineering are evaluated by CI and then submitted with advice to mankind so that all of us can collectively make the best final decisions. This way, no one gets broadsided or hoodwinked or scammed or left without say, and the most logical decisions are made instead of decisions that are made under the trumping rules of money. Confidence levels in CI decision-making process would obviously rise dramatically. Using CI would be the way of wisdom. And then got an open section for, I guess, me and or Michael to draft a description of collective intelligence. And then we have the next section, what is the way out? And add to the Road to Life plan. And I'll talk about that in a moment, but first, going back to video conference with you guys. All right, shall I carry on? I'll carry on. Okay, carrying on here. What is the way out? Tipping points have already been crossed, which means that some of the Earth's vital life-sustaining ecosystems have been pushed over the edge and are now falling towards the abyss. In order to stop and reverse the damage we have done, we will have to take over physical control of our planet. We do this by empowering our best minds, facilitated by collective intelligence, to tell us how to take control. The following is an example. What would happen if we were to push a button and cause the Arctic to refreeze? If Greenland was included and also stopped melting, what would that total northern freeze do to the jet stream and ocean currents? What effects would there be on climate? At the same time, let's say that mankind was able to reduce carbon emissions by at least 60% around the globe overnight. Then let's say we deploy many other tactics that are also well thought out and modeled by experts. What if we then plug these numbers into a modeling program for restoring our planet? The Road to Life plan shows how we can do these things, but that is not the point right now. The point right now is the question, what would the models tell us if we plugged numbers we produced when we tried? What would the result of these numbers be? Science reveals that there are a number of ways to refreeze the Arctic. By concentrating human effort, we can mechanically cause the Arctic to refreeze using wind-powered water pumps. We can hold back the ice to keep it from escaping. We can deploy thin film reflective materials. We can thicken the atmosphere to increase albedo if we have to. There are many things we can do. Indications are also strong that HAARP technology, H-A-A-R-P, may have the capability to do this as well, and the HAARP type of antenna array systems are already in place all over the world. The point is that we have the ability to take control. Some controls are faster than others, but we can still get it done. Our Mother Earth is sick now, and we must sedate her and put her on the operating table and become the surgeon and the nurse. We will have to employ different types of geoengineering and those types of geoengineering need to be evaluated by CI and submitted to the people with the uncontaminated advice of our experts for the best, most logical decisions. We have no other choice now. We are under time constraint. The Arctic sea ice will be completely gone this summer, 2018, and that loss of albedo and other ramifications will raise the Arctic's temperature geometrically. So there is no guarantee that it will refreeze over again this winter. If the ice doesn't naturally refreeze this winter, the open water could make it much more difficult for man to refreeze the Arctic. If we have to wait until the following winter, the conditions will be worse, so we have no time to waste. We must get this word out ASAP so that we can get these plans put to work this year. The other part of this equation is how we live after we return our planet back to her own life support systems. We don't want to make the same mistakes over again. We might not get another chance. All of this is spelled out in the Road to Life plan. We have to follow nature. We have to be like bees in a beehive and work together for the hive. The earth is our hive. We are the bees. We must put all ancillary beliefs and unsustainable systems aside for the survival of all mankind and all life on earth into the future forevermore. We are the last generation and the last chance. Mankind and all life on our planet could live for millions of more years if we are successful. Mankind could someday explore the vast reaches of space. We are the only hope left for all life. We are not without the means. Our generation has tools more powerful than mankind has ever had before. We have knowledge and wisdom greater than we've ever had before. And we will never know if we can save the world or not if we don't try. All we have to do is look and see that the gate is not locked, and then enter the gate, and then we will see the road to life. If anyone else has a plan for a way out, then let us lay all the plans out on the table of decision and select the best one, or take the best parts of them and put them together. Let's save all mankind and all life on earth together. We can do it. Let's get it done. End of that draft reading, and I say with my own voice, amen, hallelujah, to what you have written. It's beautiful stuff. I'm going to go on mute. I know Michael has things to say. Adam, you've spoken. Those were your words I'm reading. So thank you so much for that. And going on mute.
I just wanted to say thanks for writing that.
And you see, this is collective intelligence in action, right? Michael and I co-founded Radish some years ago with precisely this vision in mind, and now it's becoming a reality. Now we've got people like Adam Soul joining and contributing to the conversation in really powerful ways. So thanks to all of us for making this happen. Thanks to everyone who's watching, and please join the conversation. The magic is in joining the conversation. That's how we're going to build out this collective intelligence.
Well, you know, we could, if we had a different system. I mean, this old system that we've been living in since we become civilized, it obviously doesn't work. It leads us to the end. So we need a completely different system that leads us to life, you know, that is good and healthy for us and doesn't, you know, pollute the world and pollute everything. And this is a whole different system. And that's why we have to have a different system. I mean, when the collapse happens, money's going to be gone anyway. So we may as well start planning before that.
Exactly. And that's what the three of us are doing. That's what all of us involved in collective intelligence are doing. And, you know, we really need the world to get on board. Frankly, I don't know what the world is waiting for. You know, what more evidence do we need that we have tremendous urgency here to take radical action, action that gets to the root of our problems. And what better, meta solution to get back to the original agenda for today than collective intelligence. Intelligence and wisdom, and people coming together and deliberating and co-creating solutions, analyzing together, brainstorming together, brain swarming together as a methodology within collective intelligence. And other great platforms and components that we will all come up with. This is the answer. Or more precisely, this is the meta answer. This is the meta solution, that engine, that machinery for generating all the solutions that we need. If not collective intelligence, then what? Collective stupidity? Collective ignorance? Collective distraction? Right? I mean, if not collective intelligence and collective wisdom, then what? Right?
Yeah.
So,
we've all, when I say that we need to take control of the world, we've already done that. When we left the proverbial Garden of Eden and started planting and herding, we took control away from nature for some stuff. For instance, we shot into overpopulation immediately. And so we, in a sense, we took control, the population control, away from nature. We took it into our own hands, and in our own hands, we don't know how to handle it. We don't know how to handle it. It's all new to us. So each generation has increased population. So we've already taken control of the world. So and we really can't go back. We really can't go back to live as hunters and gatherers. We can go back in that direction and basically seek to reduce our footprint so that we can live on the earth with a very reduced footprint. The hunters and gatherers lived on the earth for maybe hundreds of thousands of years before we became civilized. And they had a very small footprint, which was natural. Well, we have technology today where we could have many more people living on the earth and have even a smaller footprint than they had. What if we could build underground homes that are super energy efficient and will protect us from this rising heat we're going to experience, and will keep us warm in the winter and cool in the summer. And I think it's insanity that we build all these buildings on top of the ground. So anyway, we're going to have to take control of our planet, and we've already done this. So we may as well continue to do that so that we can control this abrupt climate change issue. And then once we get that into control, because say we live another 100,000 years or 200,000 years or whatever, at some point something else might come up where we're going to have to take control of our planet, like a spaceship. We're going to have something goes wrong, and or something from space comes out and attacks our planet. We're going to have to know and use all these tools we have to make the changes we need to make at that time. So we may as well start now. That's my point.
Yeah, I really love that image of Earth as a spaceship, which is essentially what it is for us.
Yeah, and Adam,
and for all of life.
And Adam made a great metaphor some weeks back on this program about how it's like, take like the spaceship on Star Trek, where the crew of Star Trek suddenly, becomes addicted to money and they figure out that their access to getting more money is dismantling parts of the spaceship, of the Starship Enterprise, and selling these parts to the Klingons or whoever for money. And, by and by, it gets to the point that so many of the vital systems of the spaceship have been so compromised that the crew of the spaceship realizes, oh my goodness, it's this addiction to money that's destroying our home, our spaceship, our vessel that, sustains our life. And so, how do we get off this addiction to money? How do we stop dismantling our spaceship? That's really the question, boiled down into its simplest essence. So I thank you so much, Adam, for so many great stories and metaphors and such a great synthesis that brings all this to our attention.
Well, that metaphor, it's the whole spaceship actually starts going crazy, and it starts selling parts of the ship, and then even the captain, and pretty soon everybody's into it, and everything about the ship has changed so that they can tear it apart more and sell more parts of the ship. And then one day a technician, that's me, happens to go down in the galley and discovers that the food's been contaminated and that everybody's been poisoned. And that's why they're doing all these weird things. So essentially they're fouling their own nest. And that's what we're doing as in civilization on Earth. We're fouling on our own nest. And why are we doing it? Because we're sick. We're sick with the poison. So the captain orders that the food be decontaminated. And a short while later, people come out of their stupor from being in the poison, and the situation, they get to work to resolve the situation. Can you hear me? Not. All right. Good. Okay.
That's it. So we have before us the biggest challenge, the biggest threat, and the biggest opportunity ever, in my view, on the history of our planet and of humanity on Earth. And that is to reverse this crazy syndrome of tearing apart our own ship and selling its parts for money. We're doing what we can, which is coming together and talking about these things and formulating this plan and executing on the plan, be it building out the various components of the meta solution of the platforms and tools to help us generate all the specific solutions we need, as well as using the platforms that we have, such as they are, to co-create specific solutions. So the key is coming together, humanity coming together, so that we can figure all this out together and then implement it. So time is running out. The planet is heating up. People are dying. The Arctic ice is melting. Species are going extinct at an alarming rate. We're all aware of these problems. I'm wondering, what will it take to get more of humanity to come together, more than the small handful of us who shows up for the social club at the end of the world, for example. And Michael and I are in the process of broadening out the whole conversation tree. So in addition to having this sort of one kind of weekly catch-all, which is the social club at the end of the world, we have dozens, eventually hundreds, of specific lines of discourse and exploration, series of conversations on different topics, so that we can kind of fan out and work simultaneously on all the different facets that we need to work on. I'll be doing more performance art later this summer, starting late August, early September, You know, wearing my Darth Vader costume, I'm going to go to, for example, I'm going to go to the Microsoft campus where I worked for a number of years as corporate strategy manager. And with my Darth Vader costume, I'll have a giant sign that says, "Solutionaries are the solution." And along with my abrupt climate change sign. And at the bottom of the solutionary sign, it'll say, "Help us, Satya Nadella. You're our only hope." You know, as a way to inspire and motivate Microsoft to get in the game. I'm going to go on mute, and I'm going to have to wrap up here in a couple of minutes. But I'll turn it over to you, gentlemen, and I'll be right back. Really enjoying the discussion.
You have something to say, Mike?
Well, I have plenty to say, but of course I missed the first part of your paper. But if you do revise it and post it, or if you just, you know, send it to me or the group, I could read the first part of it. But it's that kind of discourse, I think, that we need to be promoting. And a lot of people would love to have conversations like that if they only knew, you know, where they were taking place and how to join them. Because they're you know, they tend to be invisible, those kinds of conversations, the kinds of things that maybe people are whispering about at the cafe or something, you know, and you're not privy to it. But that is, I think, precisely the discourse we need. And I love how you bring money into it, because you know, ultimately it's at the economic level where we're going to need to solve our problems, including our ecological problems. Anyway.
Awesome stuff, gentlemen. I'm going to have to sign off, but I'm going to let it keep rolling. So you gentlemen,
I'm jumping off as well. So
okay.
Unless Adam wants to stay
all right
on the hangout.
I just wanted to say one thing about, you asked Jamin, how do we expand this? And just real quick, we were talking about all these different you know, attacks that the Earth's been, catastrophes around the world. And these catastrophes are waking people up all over the world. And so they're going to start typing in, you know, how to save the world in the search engines on the internet. And when they do, somebody is sooner or later, I mean, I've been posting these live videos on Road to Life Plan and stuff. Sooner or later, somebody's going to type in that, and they're going to find what I've done, and then hopefully they're going to come to radish.com and be on there. And we want to have all this stuff like ready to show them. Then it'll explode. Then people will start sharing it, and it'll go all over the world. And that's how, I think that's how we do it. And if you're ready with radish.com and we've got the collective intelligence, you know, pretty much ready to go, then we've got a real tool to bring these people together. I think that's how we start.
No, I like it. In fact, that's been my strategy for the past 4 years, is seeing that these catastrophes are coming. Basically, you know, hustle while you wait. Get ready, get ready, get ready. So we've been preparing, and we continue to prepare and building out the Radish platform, radish.org, by the way. And so no, I think you're spot on. So, gentlemen, great to see you both. Great hanging with you both. Thanks, everyone, for watching. And I look forward to people's comments, and look forward to seeing everyone next time, a week from today, on the Social Club at the End of the World. Thank you all so much. All right.
Thank you.
See you soon.